Today I effed up. I thought a cute guy was ghosting me only to find out I was actually ghosting him. I was at a party 2 weeks ago, where I only knew 2 people. When in walks this guy who immediately gave me this really big smile and I thought he was so gorgeous. We ended up talking in the same circle and he introduces himself. We start chatting and quickly find the circle around us has disappeared and it is just us. He is so smart, his smile is outrageously cute, and I love how he seems laser focused on me instead of one of the many attractive women that have now joined the party and are talking about their cool riot dates. As the night wore on, I found myself talking to various different groups. But each time this guy would appear again and we'd end up just talking to each other again. Someone who neither of us knew came up and said we made an attractive couple, and I realized somehow in the span of 2 hours we were already acting like a couple. It wasn't just being sexually attracted to him, I felt so comfortable around him and he was so attentive to my needs. I told him offhand I had allergies to the dog at the party. Hours later when I started sneezing he immediately knew why and moved us outside. His smile was the thing that immediately caught my attention, but it was the thoughtfulness that made it so at the end of the night, we catch an Uber home together and end up kissing. Before the Uber drops him off I give him my number. Sunday comes, don't hear from him. Okay, I get it, we both got home at 4 a.m. and I too just want to sleep the day away. Monday comes. Silence. Tuesday, even more silence. I know I've read how it is uncool to text a girl immediately because you want to seem super cool and wanted, but we're both in our mid-30s and, I hoped, realized these mind games are BS. If you like someone, text them when you can. Life is too short to be with people half interested in you. Wednesday comes and I'm a mixture of angry and over it and insecure all at the same time. How dare he lead me on like this? Well, I guess I'm glad I only wasted one night on this a-hole. Was I not pretty enough? All these thoughts raced through my head and coalesced into me typing his name and workplace into Google to see if I can find him. Turns out, he was incredibly easy to find. I was planning on just looking at him because I missed his face, but I accidentally clicked the link that brought me to his LinkedIn page. Yikes. Now he'll know that I stalked him, which made me feel even worse. I probably looked crazy. Welp, since I was already on his page I guess I'd look at where he had worked. Maybe he wasn't really interesting and I'd feel better about him ghosting me. Nope, turns out he is not only very smart but also humble because his resume listed a dozen different cool jobs, impressive schools he's attended, things he's worked on. Great, I probably wasn't impressive enough for him. Not 30 minutes later he friends me on LinkedIn, but seemed surprised that I was reaching out. He had evidently texted me that night, and again the next day, only to not hear anything back. I had ghosted him. And this is how we found out my F-up. When I gave him my number, turns out I was off by a digit. Turns out, tipsy me isn't so great at typing or proofreading. If I hadn't been a creepy LinkedIn stalker. It could have been months, if ever, before we would have seen each other again. Right now we're laughing about it and setting up our first real date. Wish me luck Reddit, update 1 year later, we decided for our first date to walk around a park near the city and then grab a drink. I was anxious as soon as the date was set. Besides the normal first date jitters, I also carried the secret that I had posted the story of how I reconnected with him on Reddit. Some 35,000 people had upvoted it, thousands more had seen it. I needed to tell him about the Reddit post but I was scared of how he would react. He probably already thought I was weird for looking him up on LinkedIn. I had no idea if he would see me posting our story to Reddit as a breach of his privacy, or attention-seeking or just plain weird. The day of our date I waited for him by a park fountain. When I saw him walking towards me my heart skipped. I got made fun of in my last post for how much I complimented this guy's smile and I don't even care. Seeing him smile made me immediately happier. It also made me even more worried that I had messed up, even the possibility of us becoming a thing by posting our story for the world to see. We walked around the park and sat to talk under a pair of trees. It was a beautiful late summer day. I found myself holding his hand. Slowly we headed to the nearby bar, and by this time I was shaking. When I got my drink in hand, I took a few sips and the words tumbled out. I thought our reconnection story was funny so I posted it to Reddit. I had gotten maybe 20 upvotes on anything I had ever posted before this, so I expected much the same. Then I started to get dozens of notifications from hundreds of people commenting on the post. A friend sent me the post because they thought I'd enjoy it. My sister called and asked if I had written it because she recognized my writing style. A newspaper wrote an article about it. The post had taken on a life of its own. Then I showed him the Reddit post. He read it quietly. When he was done, he stood up, came over, and gave me a kiss. With that I breathed the biggest sigh of relief. I learned he himself uses Reddit and thought the post was sweet. The rest of the date we read the comments together and laughed about the whole thing. Later that week he came over to my apartment and we cooked dinner together and talked more. Our conversation turned to the fact that neither of us liked casually dating multiple people at the same time. We didn't know exactly what this was yet, but we knew we already liked each other. With that, it seemed we were dating. The first few weeks of dating sped by, filled with apple picking, hiking, and many soup, dumplings. I learned at late night karaoke that he has a beautiful singing voice, and he learned that I definitely did not. I told a friend later that we were dating and she asked yes, but is he your boyfriend? Evidently in this new world of constant casualness, you could be monogamously dating just for the fun of it, but becoming a boyfriend or girlfriend meant you saw this person as someone really important. In previous relationships I had felt like I was supposed to wait until the guy said he wanted to be with me. And it would look desperate to say, "I love you," before the guy did. This relationship felt different. There was no feeling that he was waiting to text me back to look cooler and more unavailable. There was no avoidance of talk about the future. It just felt like two people that were enjoying learning about each other, which in turn made me feel comfortable being open and honest with him. So after 6 weeks of dating but maybe not being my boyfriend, I wrote my feelings down on a card and asked him to be my official boyfriend. And he accepted. The rest of the year has been filled with adventures to foreign places where I proceeded to get us lost, twice, in a place after dark with no street lights. Still sorry about that one babe, and many trips to the grocery store that were thankfully a little less tumultuous. We've danced late into the night at concerts and cuddled in bed watching TV. We just finished Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series. I've fallen asleep on his chest to the sound of the pattering rain, my last thoughts at the brink of sleep that I have never felt so safe. I've woken up next to him and looked over at his face that looks so young and relaxed in sleep. But the hair that falls over his face already has some gray in it. Seeing it fills me with sadness that our time together on this planet is finite. Over the last year he has shown in 1,000 small ways that he is not only a great boyfriend but a thoughtful friend and a caring son. My friends and family love him, and that makes me love him all the more. He always makes me feel heard and seen, and he builds me up in a way that makes me feel like the best version of myself around him. He is brilliant and competent at his job, which is sexy as hell. He's serious enough to have his finances in order but will still let loose and do silly dance moves with me while we're cooking breakfast. He is very clean, so I have never once felt like I shouldered the burden of housekeeping. I'm actually messier than him and have put a lot of effort into being cleaner out of respect. Not once has he raised his voice, and throughout this whole year I don't think we've gotten into an argument. This relationship feels healthy, and happy, and calm. I got a few comments from my last post that looking up someone on LinkedIn when they haven't texted is crazy. Please know that if he had turned me down on LinkedIn I would have respected this and not contacted him further. It is just within a few hours of meeting this man, he felt inexplicably important in my life. I'm glad I trusted my gut to try and find him. This last part is to my BF, who wanted to be surprised by what I wrote. Over the last year you have become my favorite person and my best friend. I am so grateful that I met you. I can't wait to see what this next year brings for us.